Have you ever really wondered what you're truly capable of? I mean, what your absolute limit is? Well, today we are diving deep into the science and the mindset behind pushing past what you think is possible and unlocking what you can actually do.
You know, that quote, it really hits you, right? Because it speaks to something we've all felt. That moment in a workout or in the middle of a huge project where your brain just screams at you to stop. We all know that voice. And the idea we're going to unpack today is that our minds almost always give up long before our bodies actually have to.
So yeah, why does our brain do that? Why does it tell us to quit? It's an awesome question, and the answer is be key to pretty much everything we're about to talk about. See, it turns out this isn't some personal failing or a lack of willpower. It's actually a feature, not a bug, of how we are all wired.
Okay, think of it like this. Your brain has this little built-in safety switch, a protector. And its one and only job is to keep you safe, comfortable, and away from pain. But here's the thing. That exact same mechanism is very often the one thing holding you back from your potential.
And listen, this isn't just some feel-good motivational concept. This is backed by some serious science. Professor Tim Noakes actually calls it the central governor model. His research suggests that feeling tired, fatigue, it's less of a physical state and more of an emotion. It's an emotion created by your brain to make you stop before you reach your true physical limit. It's like a warning system that's a little overprotective.
And this is where it gets absolutely nuts. According to this whole philosophy, that governor, that safety switch, it kicks in way too early. That moment when you feel like you've hit the absolute wall and can't go another inch, you've actually only used about 40% of what you're really capable of. Seriously, just let that sink in for a minute. That's a staggering idea.
So, if our brain is literally wired to hold us back, how in the world do we override it? Well, that brings us to the first massive tool for our mental toolkit, the 40% rule.
So the rule itself is simple, but how you use it is, well, it's profound. It's a way of reframing your thoughts. It lets you recognize that feeling of I'm done, not as a hard fact, but just as a signal that you've just hit the 40% mark, which means you've got this massive untapped 60% reserve of potential just waiting for you to tap into it.
But that's the real trick, isn't it? Getting to that hidden 60%. It's not about just plowing through everything with brute force. It's a skill you have to learn. It's about learning to hear that governor's voice, to kind of nod at it, and then consciously, deliberately choose to push just a little bit further. One more step at a time.
Goggins himself says it best. This isn't about being reckless or stupid. It's about developing this whole new level of self-awareness. It's having the discipline to know the difference between the discomfort of real growth, where all the good stuff happens, and the sharp, specific pain of a real injury. And let me tell you, that distinction, it's everything.
Okay, so knowing the 40% rule exists is one thing, but how do you actually build up the strength to use it when things get tough? Well, that takes deliberate practice. It's all about forging your own mental armor. It's about making an intentional shift from being someone who runs from discomfort to someone who actually seeks it out for growth.
The whole idea here is to callous your mind. Think about it. If you lift weights, your hands get calloused and tougher, right? You can do the exact same thing for your mind by deliberately putting yourself in situations that make you uncomfortable. And you start small. Maybe it's just waking up 15 minutes earlier, or taking a cold shower, or doing just one more rep at the gym. What you're doing is teaching your brain that suffering isn't just survivable, it's a tool that makes you stronger. And over time, your tolerance for discomfort just gets bigger and bigger.
All right, here's another powerful tool for when that governor is screaming in your ear. It's called the cookie jar. And no, it's not a real jar with actual cookies. It's a mental place, like a personal highlight reel of every single victory and every single obstacle you have ever overcome in your entire life.
So when you're in the thick of it and really struggling, you mentally reach into that cookie jar and pull out solid proof of your own resilience. And what's cool is that psychologists like Dr. Kristen Race actually have a name for this. They call it cognitive reframing. You are literally, consciously shifting your focus from the pain you're in right now to a past success, reminding your brain and yourself exactly what you're made of.
Now, this next tool is maybe the most challenging one, but it can also be one of the most life-changing. It requires some radical honesty and total accountability, and it all starts by just looking in the mirror.
This is what he calls the accountability mirror. It's a technique where you literally stand in front of a mirror and confront your own truths. No excuses, no sugarcoating anything. You don't lie to yourself.
You have to acknowledge your shortcomings, not to beat yourself up, but to create a real, concrete plan of attack. It's all about bypassing your own ego to get to the real work that needs to be done.
But, and this is a really important but, there's a huge difference here. As clinical psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula points out, this is not an excuse for destructive self-criticism. The whole point is to build yourself up with an honest-to-goodness action plan, not to tear yourself down with self-hatred. It's about accountability that leads to growth, not shame that leads to, well, nothing.
Okay, I know this all sounds incredibly intense, because it is. So, we absolutely need a reality check here. We have to talk about how to actually apply these ideas safely and in a way that you can sustain for the long haul.
So you have to ask yourself this question. Is this whole approach a sign of true strength? Or is it maybe a fragile ego that's just built on constant self-punishment? This is the most important question of all. Because pushing your limits is one thing, but completely ignoring your body's real warning signs, that just leads to injury and burnout. True strength includes having the wisdom to know the difference.
So this means we have to learn to really listen to our bodies the right way. The governor, the mental quit, that feels like general fatigue, burning muscles, that voice saying, I want to stop. A real warning sign is a sharp, specific pain, or feeling dizzy or sick. And overtraining has its own signs, like you're always tired or getting sick all the time. The goal here is to challenge the governor, not to ignore the engine's blinking warning lights.
You know, when you look at it, the expert consensus really boils down to this. The key is to adapt these principles, not just blindly copy them. Use this stuff as a catalyst, as inspiration to find your own edge, but do it in a way that's healthy and sustainable for you.
So, let's bring all this home. We've talked about the governor on your brain, we've got the 40% rule, and we've got the mental tools to build that resilience. The real question now is, how do we actually use this stuff to unlock our own hidden potential?
And this is really the biggest takeaway. For most of us, this is not about becoming a Navy SEAL or running an ultramarathon. It's about the small, daily battles. It's about recognizing that voice that says, you're done, when you're working on a deadline or trying to finish a workout, and then choosing to go just one more minute, to write one more paragraph. That is where the real growth happens.
So, there you have it. You now know that mental barrier, that voice telling you to quit, it's not the truth. It's just a signal that you've hit the 40% mark. So the only question left is, what are you going to do about it? What's one small way you can start pushing back and find out what's in your other 60%?